got a guy in a high vis coming towards us. This might go pear-shaped.
This is absolutely incredible.
Alright, coming out. Oh wow. Oh wow. How does this make you feel?
Just shockers.
Hello and welcome, excellent railway enthusiasts. Today's video takes place in Australia, more specifically in Victoria, and even more specifically, the small town of Katamatite. The town is a bit quiet today, with a lot of closed down businesses littering the main street, but over 100 years ago, Katamatite and surrounds were a lot more of a hip-hop happening place, to the point it required its own railway link. In 1886, the Parliament of Victoria passed the Country Tramways Act, which gave Shire Councils access to loan money to allow them to construct tramways. In 1890, the Yarrawonga Shire Council received funding for the construction of a tramway from Dookie to Katamatite. The intention was that the Shire would build and operate the tramway at its own expense, with some supervision from the VR. The new 27-kilometer long tramway to Katamatite would originate from Dookie, where it would connect with the pre-existing Shepparton to Dookie railway line. The tramway was constructed using the same sleepers as those used by the VR, but only 16 kilometers of the track used the same weight rails, the remainder being laid with a lighter 25 kilo per metre steel rail. The lighter construction, which included using less track ballast, imposed restrictions on the weight of rolling stock used on the line and the speed at which it was allowed to travel. Starting from Dookie, the line had 4 stations: Yabba South, Yabba North, Yarrawonga and Katamatite. Each was able to handle passengers, agricultural produce, wheat and freight. The Yarrawonga Council ended its management of the tramway in August 1892, having lobbied the Victorian government to take over the line to relieve the council of the burden of debt and the loss that was being incurred. In 1892, when the tramway came under the control of the Victorian Railways, it was reclassified as a railway and the track was upgraded. In 1905, the line was extended slightly to allow for shunting at Katamatite, but that also brought to a head an argument that was to continue for another decade. At Katamatite, the track ended almost 1.6 kilometres south of the town centre, possibly to save money by avoiding the need to build a bridge over Boozy Creek. Lobbying for an extension was fierce and ongoing, but the extension never eventuated. Meetings were held in 1926 in support of a proposed rail link between the Katamatite line and the Benalla to Yarrawonga railway to the east. It was hoped that such an extension would open up more markets for local produce and reduce transport times to Sydney. Ultimately, the proposal was rejected on the grounds of cost versus revenue. Owing to road competition and ever-dwindling populations of the towns it served, rail services gradually declined. The last passenger train ran in April 1953, and in the last decade before closure, the line was only used as required for transporting grain. Yabba South Station closed in March 1969. All the other stations closed with the line in 1987. Soon after the closure, all the rails and sleepers were ripped up and the line was completely abandoned. Dookie now once again became the terminus of the Shepparton to Dookie railway line, like it was back in 1890, before the tramway's existence. Due to severe drought and track degradation, the rest of the Shepparton to Dookie railway line was closed in 2007. With the whole railway line now closed, things were looking bleak until 2011, when a 5-kilometre section of the former railway alignment from Dookie to Yabba South became a rail trail. With Dookie now being flooded by outdoorsy tourists, future extensions to the rail trail are now in the works. In recent years, there has been bumper wheat crops all along the former railway line, and there have been cries to reopen the railway line and its many silos to help farmers get the grain to market easier and cheaper via rail. So far, the line still lays abandoned, but who knows what the future holds. This is what remained of the former Katamatite railway line as of the 6th of May 2018. Enjoy.
And yeah.
Alright, hey guys, this is Les here. I'm going to be rambling for a little bit now because all of this footage had absolutely no audio behind it and it was extremely boring. So we might remedy that by listening to me being extremely boring. But yeah, anyway, we're looking around this little Weybridge office thingy-me-bob. I like these luvets. I like the funky retro chair. There's like a little bench where they would have done the equations and stuff, and I'm gathering they would have paid the farmers for their grain here. I'm not too sure, or at least given them a check or something. I don't know if you guys know how the actual administration side of these little huts and these grain facilities, how that actually worked, I'm not too sure. But as you can see here, we have the scale thingy-bob that would have weighted, and all the weighbridge officers on this line all had a very similar scale. We'll get a look at all of them if you like scales. And yeah, there's lots of little remnants and documentations around and scribbled scrawlings on the walls in this place, including that little picture of something, a little person blowing a flute or something. I don't know what that was, but lots of little numbers and stuff. I always like to document these because I guess that was once so important, so I had to write it down quickly on the wall, and now it's completely invalid and useless. I just find that fascinating. But yeah, little office here, so that's pretty dang cool. And yeah, there's a phone outlet. There was like no electricity in there. It was very, very basic. But yeah, we'll have on the day commentary starting very soon. But first, look at that. That's bedazzling and otherwise stupefying. Look at that, it's bedazzling. All right, on the day commentary starting now. Okay, so we've now conquered the Katamatite grain silo sort of area. Now we're on the prowl for the station complex, if it still exists. I've discovered a little bit of a mound next to the silos. There's a little bit of a mound. Floyd? That's the only sort of mound I'm seeing, so I have no clue if that was the station. There's also a peppercorn tree, which is sort of a dead giveaway there used to be a building here. The station is MIA. Alright, on to the next location. We're standing on Katamatite Line Road. That way looking towards Shepparton, this way looking towards Katamatite actual township. We're now going down Katamatite Line Road towards...
You and mine. We're just going straight. The train used to go just along there where that line of trees are.
Dairy.
We're about 2 k's out of Katamatite. Here is a level crossing. Just for reference, here's Mead Road going down there. There's a train line, and yeah, there's a level crossing we're looking, and that is towards Dookie and Shepparton. Here comes one of Melbourne's most prolific graffiti writers. That is looking towards Katamatite. You can sort of see the embankment where the train track would have once laid on top. Looking down the train line towards Katamatite. That's looking down the train line towards Katamatite. And what do we have here on the level crossing? We have an original sleeper. That is actually really cool. We've got an old dog spike. Ah, I've got an ant biting me. Ah! Looking towards Dookie, you can see the old embankment, and we've got like a little stick here in the foliage. Might have been a telecom marker. We're now approaching a bottle, just a standard sort of beer bottle. Let's go walk across the train line. Look at this, feast your eyes upon this. They planted trees right along where the train track used to go. Looking towards Katamatite, looking towards the level crossing and Shepparton and such.
Someone excavated a trench through the rail embankment, which really shows off the fact that there is a rail embankment.
It's just a regular farmer's fence, but look, it's made out of railway track. What a relic. All right, continuing the explore. We're now driving next to the train track. Where those trees now are, that's where the train track used to run. This is where we now are, and we found some epic remnants. All right, we're now in the broken Boozley State Park. There's a creek here. Flash the name right now. There it is. And what do we have here? We have the remains of an old rail bridge. This is epic.
This is absolutely incredible. Oh.
Looking towards Katamatite. Shoop. The train would have shooped across here, across the bridge. Look, going towards Shepparton. You can see that the last bridge that ever actually had trains on it was concrete. But there is the remains of a wooden trestle bridge, which I find quite titillating. I like this vibrant moss on the Katamatite end of the bridge. There's a little plaque in here. SP67K107. Looking towards Katamatite. The rail embankment is very obvious there. That's looking towards Katamatite. All right, Floyd, what do you have to say?
All right, so this little structure here is held up by 2 rails, as you can see. But they are a bit lighter than regular normal heavy rail, and that's because they were probably part of the original tramway / light railway, which operated with 50 pound per yard or 25 kilogram per metre rail, as opposed to a normal sort of density rail.
Lesson learnt.
Which just makes it very quite interesting.
A huge whopping gum trees crashed down onto where the bridge is. The creek is dry at the moment. I guess it would only start running when it actually rains. It might be unrelated, but the rocks underneath the bridge where the creek should run look like ballast, so that probably came off your train track. Just after the threshold of the bridge, we got another dog spike. All in a day's work for any famous YouTuber. Getting that shot resulted in me getting ants all over my feet.
Ow, 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 ow.
Continuing the journey towards Dookie. We drove about 2 minutes down the road, that's Katamatite, over there, and we found another bridge. I have no clue what the name of this creek was. Looking towards Katamatite. Looking towards Dookie! Just like the other bridge we checked out, this one also has the remains of a trestle bridge underneath.
Oh, 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 oh.
We've also got some numbers. I don't know if you guys can see that. I wonder what's Dookie. Anyway, continuing on to Dookie. Going towards Dookie now. I'm sure we'll see something else in just a second. We didn't even make it 100 meters down the road before we discovered yet another wonderful bridge. Another little thing. Have a look. Hey! We've got like a little bit of metal. I don't know if you guys can even see that. A little bit of metal here. A little bit of metal. The ballast is much sort of smaller rocks. Looking towards Dookie! I'm not 100% certain on what this bit of concrete was for. My only thought is it sort of was part of the original trestle bridge. The wooden trestle bridge that once was here, but yeah, they've upgraded to concrete. Yeah, I don't know. Coming underneath the bridge, what do we have? We have an insulator still rocking out. It's been there for many years. That's so cool.
Oh, look, there's some remnants of the wooden trestle bridge.
The bottom of the bridge is kind of ribbed.
Continuing the journey.
Amongst those trees, that's where the train track used to be.
Now we're out in the bush today. You're probably wondering, Matt, why you dragged us out in the middle of the bush.
Right, yet another level crossing. That is looking towards Shepparton and Dookie. And that is looking towards Katamatite. And yeah, obviously Parks Victoria planted a whole bunch of trees along the rail line and they've just kind of given up on this side. This is cool. You can see that a farmer has used a bit of train track as a fence. That's pretty cool. I'm not too sure if that's the tramway railway track or the actual railway track. That's looking towards Dookie and Shepparton, and you can see here WM. I would assume that means water main. I like when you're walking abandoned train lines and all the utilities still run along the train track, but the train track no longer exists. We're driving along the road. We've got another little bridge, just sort of a from car shot. I've seen a lot of bridges by the stage. There you go. Driving past the train line. So we're the blue dot, and as you can see the train track on Google Maps, and it sort of splits off from this road, but it does join it again. Going towards Dookie now. I'm sure we'll see something else in just a second. Katamatite is over there. The road we're just driving on sort of sweeps around here because the train track does a little bit of a curve, but that's where it used to go. And yeah, we're now going to drive along it again, if that makes sense. That's looking towards Katamatite. You can see sort of by the farmers' fences that the track did a curve back in the day. That's looking towards Shepparton. Right here, next to the train track, we've got the remains of a post. Maybe there used to be a post here saying, watch out, there's level crossing here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a Telstra cable warning marker because the cable still runs along the train line. It says Postmaster General on it. Water main, 500 millimeters diameter.
We're now driving along the road to Dookie and Shepparton. And as you can see, Parks Victoria has started up the plantation of the trees again.
We're now going down Katamatite
Road towards UN9.
I think I might have just discovered who was responsible for all these sprouters. Katamatite Road. Yes, that's what we've been driving on. It goes right next to the train track. Looking towards Katamatite. We're now in the tiny sort of remnant township, not really a town anymore, of Yarrawonga. The tracks are still in the road here at Yarrawonga. This is the only bit of track I've actually seen remaining of the line so far. It's still shiny just because of all the people driving over it, not because of trains, because they stopped many years ago. Isn't that right, Floyd?
That's right.
Yeah, got a bolt here. Ooh. Looking towards Dookie and Shepparton, looking towards Katamatite. Look how old school that farmer's tractor is. That's so cool. Bit of a Yarrawonga fact here. This building was the original general store. It has been closed for years and is now a private residence. Check this out. We've still got some of the old advertising. Chamberlain's cough remedy. And there's a bullet hole. There's a little sort of door sort of thing on the building. Not too sure what that was for. This is the CWA of Victoria, Yarrawonga Hall, but I'm sure it's pretty much the community hall. Yarrawonga Victoria is once a bustling town with its own train station and everything, which we're going to go and try to find the remains of now. Entering the grain complex. All these weigh stations are starting to look the same. Tooleyburke weighbridge to weigh 16 tonnes.
This is absolutely incredible.
Oh.
The top sign says no smoking beyond this point, and below that says Hascam.
There's some bricks among the grass here.
There used to be a window here, but it's been boarded off. There's the remains of a desk, pretty much the same as the other weigh station we just checked out. Isn't that right, Floyd?
That's right.
Yeah, pretty empty in there. What do we got? Oh, someone shreked it. Got some numbers here, not sure what they're all about. We've got the old scale, a bit different than the other one we just saw, but pretty cool. Yeah, pretty much the same one as we saw before, just a different little sort of enclosure it's got on it. GEB 2194. GEB means Grain Elevators Board.
Vic Grain Limited.
Got some tattered old paperwork. There's an overview of the page. Not too sure what this was about. Obviously logging in the grain when they got it. Would you say, Floyd?
I'd say.
I would say. There you go, Yarrawonga. That is so awesome. There's an example of one that was never filled in.
Grain Elevators Board.
Bit of a look at this book. Goes white page, green page, white page. Ugh. Logbook elevator. Got some numbers. Oh yeah, pop that back. Alright, approaching the silos. Just like at Katamatite, there's no real seeing where the station once was. There's only a little mound, and we just think that's where the station was. That mound on the left, I'd say, yeah, that was the station, because you can see there's sort of like an indent here where the track would have been, sort of a little gully. And yeah, it would have gone that way towards Dookie. In the salad stalks, we've got some rubble. Just looks like the foundations of a building. We've got a guy in a high-vis coming towards us. This might go pear-shaped. Yeah, we're making sort of a documentary of the whole train line from start to finish. Oh, yeah.
What's it for?
YouTube, just to, you know, just document it, because no one's done it. And it's a big part of train history, this line.
Oh, it's been done.
Has it been done? I haven't seen it. I haven't done much research.
A book made about it.
Yeah.
Where are you guys from?
Like Melbourne.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, we did the Cobram line yesterday. We're doing a lot of train stuff, so yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been training for a while.
No.
Yeah, is that where the station used to be, that mound? Because that was my best bet.
And then
yeah.
there's one here too.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. There used to be a house down over there. There used to be houses everywhere here
Yeah.
before everyone went to war.
Interesting.
And then everyone went to war and it just all got burnt.
It's not good.
There's been a book made about it.
Alright, so that guy talked to us for about 5 to 10 minutes. He was kind of like a little bit aggro at first, wondering what we were doing. Then he ended up telling us a whole bunch of history about the silos. So let's share it! The farmer guy that came and talked to us told us a story about a grandpa that he used to know. And he was telling us that that grandpa, when he was a kid with his parents, actually built these silos. If you look on the sides, you can see the sort of lines. You can actually see sort of how they built the concrete in stages. So they started at the bottom, they built the foundation, then they made a mold, filled it with concrete using buckets, and once the bottom layer had dried, they built a mold on top of that, filled that up with buckets, and then they just built up all the way to the top. So there were people hanging with ropes with buckets of concrete, and it was probably quite dangerous, but that's what they did back in the day. I asked the guy if that mound I was talking about was the actual station. He said it was, and he said that there was another one over here. I don't know if that's true, but I have no clue either. There is a bit of a mound here, but I think this might just be the actual train track mound. I have no clue anymore. It's like a little colander thing. I have no clue if that's related to the railways. The farmer also told us that people used to come in here because it didn't used to have a big padlock on it, and they used to abseil down the outside, but they've recently started taking security a lot more seriously.
Danger!
Danger! There's actually water around this tap. That water is actually dripping out of this tank up here. The tap definitely wouldn't work because it's not even connected anymore. This power line has been cut. There's power poles sort of coming into the silo area, and they actually don't look that old compared to the rest of the facility. 2007, 2012, 2017, 2014, other stuff.
Dairy.
There's the silos, and over here we've actually got some demitants. We've got like a circle piece of concrete right there, and we've also got another circle bit of concrete right here. There's the remains of a rainwater tank. Silos, and right here we've got a bit of terracotta pipe. That's pretty inspirational. Bit of a pan of the whole freight yard here at Ewan, mate. Silos, weighbridge over there. That's pretty much it.
Alright, we're finished here in Ewan, and we're going to continue the journey towards Dookie and Shepparton.
And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that button and give this video a like if you can. It's greatly appreciated and knows that I'm on the right track. So, yeah.
Little culvert.
Should have worn me wellies, man. Should have worn my wellies.
Here is Mungari Road. I don't care if that's how you pronounce it. That is looking towards Shepparton. You can see the train track swept around there. Sort of a circle, sort of curvy way. We are now moving away from the train track, going down this road, but we will meet up again with it soon at
Yabba North.
We are approaching the Yabba North silos.
Dairy.
The only civic building this town has is a CFA, or at least that is all I can see. Alright, now turning left onto Railway Parade. We're here in Yabba North. Let's check out the silos and station precinct. Weighbridge here, pretty much the same as the other weighbridge. Yep, exact same. Yep. This weighbridge is actually quite intact compared to the other ones we've checked out. As you can see, there would have been a larger weighbridge on that concrete pad originally. You can see because the scales would have come out there at one point. Hey! Floyd's opened the door, so let's jump in. Classic grain silos thing. Oh, got a skink. Got a skink. The table in here is obviously a standard issue table. Every single weighbridge we've seen so far has the exact same one. Exact same weighing machine from Ewan, mate, so not going to go into too much detail.
Yabba North. Yabba North.
Hunters buying truth. Still ambulating. We've got a bunch of old car magazines here. I'm not really too sure why, but they're pretty old, pretty cool. V6 4Runner. This is from 1999. Abandoned pinboard. We got a guy, we got a boy on deck. Hopping out. Another set of Williamstown type silos. All these silos are sort of starting to look the same, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, unfortunately. We've just discovered something very interesting. This door was just wide open. There is some random abandoned carpet. Water tank is in surprisingly good condition. That one isn't though. There's piles of dirt with rubble in it, possibly the rubble of the station. There's actually some bits of wood here. There's a little sign. Get off. That is looking towards Katamatite. We're in Yabba North. It's currently standing right where the train would have once run. And yep, that's the old station platform mound for Yabba North Station.
How incredible is that?
Not really too much remaining. There's some bricks. There is a base of where a water tank would have once gone. More bricks and other assorted bits of rubble.
Murrindindi?
Yeah, there's not really much left other than what I've already shown you. Yeah. All right. That is a behind view of the Yabba North station. The train would have come from Katamatite, dropped off people here at the station, continued its way to Shepparton. Fatal toilet.
Just stay where you are now because I can't see you.
To any of the Fallout fans, this would remind you of a Prevlosky preservation shelter, the little one-person Fallout shelters they have in Fallout 3. I love that little mushroom cap. We have a spooky spide. Look at that There's some type of contraption on the side here. Here's the bucket from the toilet.
Ew.
There's some markings on here. Is there any year? There would have been a bit more of an enclosure, but I reckon that bucket would have sat here at one stage. Yeah, not really too much in here. See where the toilet used to go? Yeah, sort of the inside. Toilet paper would have gone there. This might have been a sink or a very minute urinal. It's definitely living up to the Aussie stereotype in here. There are so many spiders.
Uh-oh.
Alright, sound test. I'm here with all of my people. Wah, locked in with all of my people. Wah. Epic audio. In case you're confused, that toilet would have been installed for the grain operations, not the original station. They would have probably had their own toilets.
How do I know that? Because I see a lot of those toilets at other abandoned granaries.
I know it's negative, but yeah, it's pretty much same old with these silos. There used to be a water tank on here, but what's actually interesting is the extreme amount of nests. If you look closely, there's actually more of those odd nests all the way up here. There's also a bonus wasp's nest. I really like this crispy pulley. Danger, no entry permit required. Just like at the Katamatite silos, there is a missing arm that would have swung out and filled the grain trains. There's also one missing on this side. I think that's where an arm would have gone. I could be completely wrong. It's not coming for us, it's going into that farm. But yeah, that's kind of concerning. Look at these sprouters, they've grown right where trucks would have once driven. That just shows you how long this place has been empty. All right, before the cops come, let's jump inside. Wow. A bit of a tilt of this first room. All right, there you go. Goes up into the ceiling, there's a ladder. Inner, outer opening ropes. Close. Gardener, bin up. Outer bin, inner bin, down bin. That's labelled bin 1, bin 3, bin 2, bin 4. Do not drop valve down. So what you're actually looking at here is a huge grain elevator. This is really cool that this is still here. You've got the little cups that would have scooped up the grain and then brought them to the top of the silos and put them in the top of the silos so they could be dispensed into the train. There's some handwritten notes here. So cool.
How incredible is that?
You can actually go into the Chasm of Doom, but I'm not really interested. That is a very long way down. There's a little diagram of the grain facility. Bin board, outer, TC, inner, other notes, random numbers. Bin 1, silo number 1. You can actually see into one of these huge silos. Yeah, it's huge, so tall. I have no clue you can see, but yeah, it goes all the way to the top. Wow. There's still a broom here. I love that. Wow, that's so cool. There's also a little bucket as well. I love the light coming through that window. That is so cool. There's ropes emanating from the ceiling that feed into this wonderful old school flywheel. That is so vintage, so epic. That flywheel goes into this room.
Let's jump in.
Alright, let's jump in. Set of gummy galoshes. There's just some like doodads that would have been used for fixing the grain elevator. There's a place where they would have hung brooms and such. There's a car battery. And above that, there's some big sort of control arm. Goes all the way to the ceiling up there. There's some barrels here that hopefully do not have bodies in them. There's numbers on them. There's someone in a vehicle right outside. I hope we don't get shreked for being in here. Alright, tilt of this room. Pretty cool in here. Bit of a rope. That's the roof. I'm not 100% sure what this pulley is to control. I just assume it's something for the grain elevators. Could be completely wrong. If you know, let me know. I'd say this used to have oil in it. There's some sort of doodad on the wall that has wires that connect to this engine here. This engine used to power this big sort of belt that once powered the grain elevator, I'd say.
And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that button and give this video a like.
Safety in operation and life of the engine are dependent on this attendance. There's another little gizmo on the floor here. Looks like a water pump, not really too sure. I love this wooden door here. It's very old school. Yeah, pretty cool. Quick tilt down from the ceiling. I think we're pretty much done with this room. All right. Alright, let's jump up these ominous looking set of ladder rungs. So we're now above that lower level. There's like many different landings in here. We've got the grain elevator and all the steps, ladders that keep going up. There's all these little wires that run up the whole length of the silos. I have no clue what they were for. That big engine down below probably did something to do with these ropes. I love that old flywheel. There's a little spot where you could tie off a rope. Bit of a down view onto the lower story. There's like a weight here. It's very hefty. Oh my God, I don't want to drop that. There's like a little pipe. There's poo festooning the floor. We don't care about that. Because look up. Look at this space. That is amazing. Wow, that's so cool. Onwards and upwards. Alright, on to level 3. We're up here, it's nice and sunny, and yeah, it continues going up and up and up and up. We've got a window here, it's missing a few panels. It's not actually made of glass, it's made of plastic. I guess it just got smashed too many times. You actually get a little bit of a view outside. Ooh. For some reason, all the way up here, there is a dog spike. Behind this ladder, there's actually a big opening. There's a huge slide and then there's an opening, maybe grain went in here. I have no clue. There's another ladder, it doesn't directly go anywhere per se, but it does go up to access this hatch. Let's go have a look. All right, I just climbed up, standing here, my sandals. Let's see if we can open this. It won't budge. All right, let's continue the explore. I just climbed this, but whatever you do, don't look down, little bird. Going up. Look how rickety this is. Look how rickety this is. Oh my. There was a bird just swarming me a second ago. Now it's gone because I whipped out the camera. But yeah, little bird's nest. Now entering the penthouse suite. I'm so thankful to finally be at the top, but I know that I'll have to come all the way back down. All right, the last room up here is a big, well, it's where the grain would have been elevated to the highest point. Then there was like a little chute and it went into the various different grain bins. Here's a good angle of the chute that would have once sprayed the grain into the various bins. Those wires that go through the whole building obviously used to control various parts of the mechanism up here. These wires here would have controlled which way the chute actually got turned around, if that makes sense, so it could spray into the various open mouths. And this wire here controlled the tilt of the chute. Looking down, oh my. Here's where the big pulley system comes to a finish, up here at this big flywheel. VI Kimber B46. Scattered around the room are these sort of like openings to the grain bins possibly. I think that's what they were for. There's one over there too. It's like a little eye hook thing on the ceiling. No clue what that was for. Little bird's nest up there. The whole silo complex is just littered with dead animals, mainly bird bones. This one still has a little cuff. There's another bird leg with a name on it. This window is missing, so I reckon we should get a little sneak peek out of it. Wowee, Terry. As Adam the Woo says, whatever you do, don't look down. All right, coming out. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. How does this make you feel?
Just shockers. Looks like there has been a massacre up here.
The graffiti has been painted over. There's actually a little pipe here
Oh, you can see
that's dripping water I have no clue where it's getting the water from, but it is dripping. Sprouter. I hope that's not the quality of rope they used to abseil down. Looking down into this silo, just a huge silo. You can see that the roof was asphalted at one stage. You can see little white fibers in the roof. Wouldn't be surprised if this actually has asbestos in it up here. Since the roof is made of asphalt, it melts at summertime. The weight of this left a little indent because it melted. You can see it happened there as well. You can see the little drain pipes. Okay. Let's look over the edge. Whoa! Floyd brought a rock up. Drop it. Floyd's gearing up for an ego-based rooftopper shot.
Gave up.
We've got hatches on this side, let's open them. It's kind of hard to see, just a huge dark empty silo. Looking towards Shepparton. Here comes a car. They are majorly slowing down. Oh no, they're turning around. They're now leaving. Looking towards Katamatite, heading down. The sun is now setting and we're nowhere near the end of the line. We were just about to leave Yabba North until we saw this. The tracks still run underneath the road. That is so cool. Looking towards Shepparton, looking towards Katamatite. I feel really douchey for essentially location blabbing those silos because they were completely untouched, but I know it's sort of what happens with these rail track videos. We try not to location blab normal abandoned buildings when they're untouched, but it's just kind of what happens.
I wouldn't have blabbed them if I didn't have to sort of inadvertently blab them through this video.
Alright, on to Yabba South. We've got like a little remains of a bridge or something there. Once again, we're driving next to the train track.
Yabba South was the first station to close along the line.
The Landcare Group has planted more trees on the old rail alignment. Another bridge. Just sleepers. Bridge. Where these trees are is where the train track used to be. There would have been a level crossing here. And we think that this is the remains of Yabba South Station.
I've got goosebumps.
Looking towards Katamatite, looking towards Shepparton. The train would have come through here to Shepparton. We just reckon this mound was it. What gave away the fact that this was definitely a station was the mound and this old unnative tree. Here's the mound and you can see on the ground over here, there's sort of like gravel, maybe the remains of a goods yard here, no clue. There's more gravel here as well. Bit of a pan, Yabba South. Sort of train side, if that makes sense. Yeah. There's quite an interesting glass bottle here. It's not super old. It's got like this little sort of lip thing here. So you can hold it like that and you can just drink it. Just like that car, we are off to Dookie.
A big pile of gamer gunk and gamer gear.
That's the road to Dookie. We're about 5 k's away and check this out. From here to Dookie, it is now a rail trail. The rail trail just ends and it's just abandoned from here on to Katamatite. I'm guessing they have grand plans of one day extending this all the way to Katamatite, but at this stage it just ends 4.8 k's out of Dookie.
Community Project 2011, designed, constructed and contributed by the VCAL students, Warrungurri Park Secondary College.
I am running out of time.
We've completely run out of time, so I'm literally running to get a shot.
Quickly! We really got a 2-minute noodle this now.
I'm very impressed. This is actually a bitumen path.
Gotta go. Gotta go. Quickly.
We are now at a bridge that was originally a rail bridge, but has now been converted to pedestrian use.
Really grouse.
Looking towards Katamatite. Looking towards Dookie.
I am, and Jay is too, getting a really weird vibe from this place. Like, I've got goosebumps.
Now approaching Greater Shepparton.
If you have any questions or any feedback, of course, leave it in the comment section below.
Where Floyd's standing, you can see that's where they paved over the train tracks. Looking towards Katamatite. Looking towards Dookie.
You can turn around up here.
No,
seeing some use. That's cool.
That's cool.
And of course, don't forget to be subscribed so you can keep up to date with this and every other video that I make.
We are now on the outskirts of Dookie. The rail line is actually down there, and it sort of sweeps around and comes into Dookie that way. You can see one of the bridges that they built for the rail trail.
Really close to 5,000 subscribers, which is nuts. And I thank every one of you so much for subscribing.
If that even does make sense, you know what I'm about to do. Once again, you can see the rails are still under the road, but they've been paved over. You can actually see some people walking the rail trail. It comes away from the actual rail line, it comes down, comes here, and goes into Dookie. Next to where the train track would have been, we've got a whole bunch of rail relics. We have some rotted out sleepers, some rusty fish plates, the bases of signs. Pretty cool. There's also a hefty piece of concrete. There's more train track here. So here's the train track. You can see sort of comes here. Then yeah, it goes into Dookie there. The train track just goes all the way into Dookie. That's so cool it's still here. Whoa, 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 what are you doing? It is so dangerous to be near an active rail line. Look at this trespasser.
Yeah.
We're now in Dookie. It's getting way too dark to film sort of a good quality documentary sort of video, so we're gonna wrap it up here. I know we're not finished. We'll have to come back another day.
And yeah.
So this is the end of the rail trail here in Dookie. There is a fitness station.
Looking towards Katamatite.
That's looking towards Katamatite. We have a little sort of siding spur off here. And then there's the grain silos here at Dookie.
Looking towards Dookie.
We will be back when we are back. Okay, keep wacky.
What?
Keep being wacky.
Gave up.
We're now going down Katamatite. Really? We're now going down Katamatite road towards Umite.
You and mine.
Towards
You and mine.
And we're going to find a level crossing.
We're in Katamatite now.
Do that last bit again.
Anyway, that's enough of me talking and rambling and all that kind of thing. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who watches these videos, and I will see you all again really, really soon. Hooroo!